Sagoli sagwe kajik jihauni onget sat nawal ongwe moy. Anishna nuichke Darlene Richie Dijnakaz, Sagin and Jabine. I want to take the time to welcome you all to the launch of Council Fire's Restoration of Identity project in our Indian Residential School Legacy Project launch. So thank you so much for coming out.
Restoration of identity is something that I think we have to do as a cultural group, but also as individuals. I know that my own personal experience, I was separated from my biological family and my community, and restoring my own sense of identity has been a lifelong process that I began as a young adult.
It's an honor for me to open this gathering. Since I've been in Toronto, I've been doing openings, but this is the one somehow that's going to move me because of the residential school program, as being one of the survivors of the IRSS.
What does restoration of identity mean to you?
Exactly what it says. Restoring our identity as Indigenous people and restoring what was stolen from us and taken from us.
Well, I think the whole general idea is the fact that through the residential schools, through the loss of identity, through decades of people coming in and forcing our identity away, and whether it was through the residential schools or whether it was through the Métis day schools, we saw that identity repeatedly taken away from our peoples.
Sego. As Darlene said, I'm the chief of 6 stations, and I want to take the opportunity to welcome everyone here to the land where many nations came together under the Dish with One Spoon Treaty. I also want to acknowledge all of the people who live in Toronto who are from many nations, not only in this province, but across the country. So I think it's important that we acknowledge that this is traditional territory for First Peoples of this land. I just want to thank Andrea for inviting me here and thank the drum. Very, very powerful. I was listening to these guys last week, and it's so enlightening to see the young people there drumming. And it's so important. And I think that's part of what tonight is about, the restoration of identity. Because, you know, these residential schools tried to take that away from us. They tried to take our culture, they tried to take our language away, and they couldn't succeed. They tried to assimilate us. We are coming back stronger than ever to retain our culture and our history and our language.
And what does restoration of identity mean to you?
Well, it's the start of healing for residential schools around. It's acknowledgement of our pain, and gives it some legitimacy where we weren't able to talk about it for a long time.
Oh, scolig squego, your dagwasium gets all falling, you get a load on your dog, you go Joda. I'm Andrea Christiana, and I'm Okwali, which is Bear Clan. And anybody knows about the Bear Clan if we haven't had our fish look out. And so today I have to make sure that I let the team members of Toronto Council Fire know that I didn't have fish, and so acting out and wanting things done ASAP. That I want to acknowledge you for the tremendous work that you do and you support. So I'm bringing it back. The purpose of why I'm standing here is to tell you about this, this process of the restoration of identity. And for many years, the newcomers who come to this land were displaced, and many of us were displaced in terms of whether it was a residential school or any other systems that were through the adoption. And in addition to that, we asked, what are some of the things that we want to build as a legacy piece, not a monument because we're not into monuments. And it was Andrew who said, why don't you do what they did in Sulakau? And so Sulakau did a gesture of the turtle, and obviously that started to evolve.
My thoughts on residential schools is it's a long process when it comes to reconciliation. It means more than just saying I'm sorry. It's more like asking for forgiveness and finding a way to go on that healing path, because a lot of people take their whole entire lives to heal, and there's a lot of things that come with why we were put in residential schools.
Children as young as 3 years old were removed from their home community, isolated far from parental influence, separated from their siblings. Schools were segregated according to gender, forbidden to speak their first language, and their culture prohibited. Our children were institutionalized in order to integrate them into Canadian society, disrupting their growth, lives, and communities, and causing long-term impacts. Many children experienced excessive punishment, physical, mental, emotional, and sexual abuse through this process of cultural genocide. The project recognizes the commitment to work towards truth and reconciliation through the creation of an IRSS legacy structure entitled The Restoration of Identity. The structure recreates the turtle, universally recognized and symbolic of Mother Earth, acknowledges former IRS students, their nations and clans, and roots them back to their rightful place with creation. The turtle, climbing over a boulder structure listing residential schools in Ontario, is intended to remind all of the struggles experienced by residential school survivors and to demonstrate their continued recovery.
Restoration of identity means a lot to me. It means keeping our culture alive. It means keeping those children strong with our prayers, with our traditions.
One of the most widely held spiritual beliefs found throughout the world is the concept of the world traveling through the cosmos on the back of a turtle. Billions of people from diverse civilizations and cultures have long held this belief. For the Indigenous peoples of the Western Hemisphere, the concept is embedded in their creation stories. Throughout Northeast North America, there is a shared belief of a woman, some call her Sky Woman or First Woman, descending from the sky world to begin life on this blue orb. As she approaches her new home, a snapping turtle surfaces from the endless waters and gives her permission to land on its back. Thus begins the great transformation, culminating in the creation of North America, Turtle Island.
Well, reconciliation for me is helping our survivors regain their cultural, traditional, and spiritual ways of living and being on the Red Road.
Tonight I speak on behalf of all residential, school, and intergenerational survivors. Our journeys have been difficult, and we have survived cultural genocide, broken family dynamics, and the loss of our language and special relationship with the land, and countless other obstacles. Despite all these hardships and past struggles, we have survived and we are thriving and making a difference.
The residential schools were very horrible, and my grandparents went to residential schools, and they passed on so many things through so many generations, and we're fighting those traumas, and we're fighting that attempt at assimilation.
I do want to recognize all of the traditional territories of all of the First Nations from the Atlantic to the Pacific. I also want to make a comment about this project, the Restoration of Identity. I've been reflecting on some of the comments that I've heard, and I think that identity is something from which one's personal confidence, one's personal sense of ambition flows. And to negate one's identity or to attempt to destroy it destroys one's confidence in themselves, often one's ambition in themselves.
I'm urban Indigenous, but I was also raised on the reserve, and my reserve is Wikwampong. So it's almost like I have two parts of myself in one space.
As more people learn by way of presentation, by way of storytelling, it really is so compelling that there is no way to say no. We have to find a way to say yes. And I'm so proud that there is now a space at City Hall in the seat of the symbol of democracy here in the city of Toronto, where we can actually give some very visible presence through an artistic expression of what reconciliation and the restoration of identity could look like.
So can you tell us why you're here today?
Because we're going to dance and we're going to do our traditionals. I'm going to do hoop dance. I'm going to do jiggle.
So how long did it take to practice?
It takes kind of long. It takes me like 4 days. It took me like 10 minutes.
So are you guys excited to perform?
Yeah.
Can you show us a little bit?
She's giving all my cards.
You can get the yellow boxes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Donnie, y'all so quick.